Yo, welcome back, everybody. Just wanted to shoot an episode here on the Founders Lounge. Kind of wanted to catch up with you guys again. I have been getting kind of really good feedback on past couple episodes with the two guests that I've had. I didn't have a guest this week lined up, so I didn't want to like miss a week of not recording anything and not pushing out anything because I did that a couple weeks ago, and I was like, yeah, I kind of want to be a little bit more consistent, especially on YouTube and pumping out content. But I feel like I've been able to kind of find a groove. I'm really happy about that. I feel like I'm getting a really good hang of like understanding like long form and short form content. Obviously, it's not perfect yet, but it's going to get there over time. But I did want to check in with you guys, just do kind of like a chill episode of the Founders Lounge where we're actually just lounging. Like I'm literally in my after work clothes. So I got off my 9 to 5 and I'm literally in, this is literally what I wear, just like a black hoodie and black sweats all the way until bedtime. And this is literally how I work throughout the night. So but yeah, just wanted to check in with you guys. This little charger here actually goes into like this new light box that I got from Amazon. Also, if you noticed, I got a new microphone. Yeah, I just wanted to shoot an episode because I got a whole bunch of new camera gear and the lighting was good and I've had a chill week and I've actually just been working really hard on both the business and kind of like the content game and the personal branding stuff. So I wanted to touch on that a little bit. And then there's also a concept that I wanted to touch on later down the episode. But first things first, the content stuff. In the past, the content game has, I've always thought that that was like the best way to kind of like get your name out there, kind of build your personal brand. There's a multitude of reasons why I think a personal brand is really important, especially in the next like 5 to 10 years. I think it's a good bet against AI. I also think it's a good bet towards building the future you really want for yourself. And also, you can use it as leverage for different business ventures down the road, which I eventually will want to do with a personal brand. Not to say that like I'm not focusing on business or my own business or whatever, or being the best at what I do. But I think that as a side project, as a side hobby, it's just cool to kind of see the content grow, kind of see myself grow with it. Um, okay, it's got to stop. I don't know why it's doing that. Yeah, so if you guys didn't know, I got this light box yesterday, and today I got this new mic. And I felt like that's something that I've learned from the past episodes I've done with a couple guests is that like the mic was picking up on some weird stuff. And I think it's because I was holding it like this. And then a couple guests I have that had it on their shirts like this. So I feel like with a microphone and actually holding it is going to be a game changer. That's why I'm really glad I got this microphone. So I hopefully that'll change the way audio is coming out, and I think it will. I think it'll do a great job of doing that. But it's also really cool to just kind of hold it like this. I feel like you're actually speaking into a mic, and it weirdly enough has that effect of like, oh, I'm actually saying something efficient and like makes sense and somewhat studious. Anyways, yeah, I'm glad that I got these two things. Actually got a couple of light boxes, so hopefully the lighting will be a little bit better too. Which then the webcam or whatever the camera we're gonna use will pick up better. So that's it on the content end. And I think in terms of like the questions, I do feel like I'm probably gonna drop the questions just because I kind of want a little bit more of a free flowing kind of like conversation, one that could probably last hours if if we don't watch the time, which is probably if Fatima and I, my first guest, if we didn't look at the clock and see that it was like an hour and 10 already, we probably would have kept going for another hour or two, which we actually did off camera because we just started talking about more tactical stuff with the business, which I think I kind of want to incorporate at some point. But I don't know like how if that would make sense for YouTube. I'm sure it probably does, just for the fact that like no one's watching this anyways. I mean, the last video I did had like 22 views, something like that, and then the one with Fatima I did got like 60. I don't know. For me, I would just want to knock out like 100 episodes before I start looking at the statistics. I think that's actually a really good kind of like goal for me, to not worry about how many viewers I'm getting or subscribers. Like that should never excite me, and thankfully it doesn't really. And so I think that like if the goal was to just pump out 100 episodes, I feel like I'll have a better understanding of what people like, what people don't like. I'll have a better understanding of my voice and kind of like what I could deliver on in terms of content. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. The other thing that I wanted to check in with you guys on, something that's been on my mind recently. I have a close friends group on Instagram. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's just my first name, last name. You can DM me. I'll add you to my close friends group. And it's basically just a bunch of business owners or people who want to be business owners. And in there, I talked about this one concept of the things that you kind of have to go through. I kind of want to break this down a little bit because I feel like there's not a lot of people that really talk about it. And I think for me, if I can talk about it and I can watch this video and I can edit it, and then I can start to pick out clips later down the road, I feel like it'll help me ease my mind a little bit about what I'm sacrificing to kind of like do this. And so the things that I have to endure to kind of push through the initial hump, and anything that you do in life that's going to be challenging. Because really anything that you do in terms of like stepping out of like the normalcy of your life, the normal things that you do in your life, there's going to be levels to it. There's going to be phases that you're going to have to go through. And I think and what I'm realizing as I'm rebuilding my side business, my agency, as I did in the past. In the past, I was doing it as a college student. Now I'm doing it as somebody who has a 9 to 5. You know, the levels are the same, the phases are the same. There's still the initial hump that you have to get through. And I don't want this video to be about, the mindset stuff, the guru stuff, the, just philosophy of it all. There's really tactical things that I'm learning in terms of just like starting a business. I just want to talk about business for now, agency, and especially in the agency world, online business world, online services world, where like this initial step that you're having to get through to either acquire your first customer, acquire your first client, or even just get things situated and kind of just like lay the foundations correctly in terms of having your business up and running. There's a few things that I've realized, right? In terms of finding your first client, you know, there's things that you have to expend no matter what it is to acquire a client, unless you just had like a referral, or your dad knew somebody who then talked to this other person and that person reached out to you and said, hey, you're so and so son, you know can you do this for me? Aside from that, like actually going out there and having to prove your value, and also going out there and finding your first client, there's steps to it. And like, again, I don't want this video to be about the mindset, about the philosophy of it. I want this to be kind of tactical. In the first pursuit of your first client, the first big win, you're gonna have to expend two things. And you either have one or both of them, or one or the other. And it's either money or your time. And if you have money, that means you can acquire somebody to, do appointment setting, or to close some deals for you. Or if you could probably pay somebody from a third world country, you know, X amount per hour to find leads for you and source leads for you. And then you just knock out the leads. Like, there's so many things that you can outsource if you have the money. The other thing that you can do, the other option that you have, is your time, right? So I'm doing a little bit of both. So I have a couple of softwares that can help me streamline, customer acquisition, client acquisition for my own business. And it does cost me a little bit of money and a little bit of time. So I'm kind of diving into both. But again, if you don't have the money, all you have is your time. And if you think about the different steps within this, you're going to have to expend both, right? So let me kind of explain that. Let's say you started your own agency. Let's say you started like, copywriting agency, whatever. You're selling it to realtors. You write their social media content, website, whatever, their landing page. When you don't have the money and all you're doing is expending time, there's a bit of math that you're gonna have to do with your time in order to kind of figure out, you know, uh, how many messages does it take to get one reply, and then how many messages does it take to get like an actual qualified lead, and then how many messages does it take to get you an actual booked appointment, and then how many messages does it take to actually close a deal for you. So again, with this scenario, when you're dealing with realtors, right, you're spending hours throughout the day. Maybe it's 2 hours a day when you're reaching out to realtors. And let's say you send out 50 messages to just to get let's say 5 booked calls, and then let's say you close one of them. So that means that per 50, and this is not ideal. This is not realistic at all. But let's just say this is what happened. You spent 50 messages. You sent out 50 messages, and you got one booked, or 5 booked calls, and then one lead from that, whether they close or not. That means that at at the rate of 2 hours a day, you're sending out 50 messages. That is kind of like the math that you're having to deal with, because if you expand that to 4, then that means you sent out 100 like messages, and you set 10 appointments and close 2 or have 2 leads that you talked. So that's kind of one way to think about expending energy and time in the beginning. And for me, like I said, like I'm kind of doing both right now. I have a software that's like pumping out 100 messages a day or something like that on cold DMs, and that's kind of like where the business is going to live for a little bit. I think that for me, there's 2 ways I'm going to try to acquire a client. One is going to be through the media, so like the Founders Lounge. If you guys look at all the Founders Lounge episodes, the first link is always a Calendly link or a website, to which then will be people can like find me, which is going to be cool to use at some point because it's more of a long-term play. I think that over time, as people are tuning in, they'll see the link, they'll know what I do. I also have a couple of commercials I want to record soon that I will just kind of plug in between the episodes, because if someone's not going to if someone's not going to sponsor me to, say something in my videos, then I'm just going to do it myself, because if 100 people tune in and they see the ad, they'll know what I'm about, and I'm not just like making content just for the sake of making content. That's the first way about how I'm going to try to acquire a client. The second way I'm going to try to acquire a client is to send out these cold DMs. I'm trying to send out 500 a day, but for now I'm sticking around 100 because I am using one of my social media accounts. I'm not going to say which one, and finding people that I can connect with who are in the space that I'm in. It's a bit divided between time spent and money spent, because the software does cost me something. But as an entrepreneur, as somebody who is working in content, as somebody who's, let's just say you're going into the gym for the first time, you know the latency is the same. You're not going to be perfect the next day or the next week or the next month. I feel like maybe that's the reason why a lot of people quit the business or quit content creating or quit the gym, is because like they expect some sort of like return within the next 3 months. And I feel like if you can endure both, not having a return of some sort within the first 30 days, but you can iterate, you can, change things up, you can try different things and stay within it for the next, I mean, for me, I try to stay in it within the next 2 years. But for some people, if you can stay within it for about 3 to 6 months, um, I truly believe in what Alex Ramosi says. He says that, you need one acquisition channel, you need one service, you need one industry that you're selling it to, and you could probably run that up to about, 1 million a year, 3 million a year. I've seen people do it. I have a bunch of friends on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok that just serve one industry, and they make quite a bit of money from it. And I think that for me, I just need to kind of like follow the path that's already been proven, and don't get distracted by what's coming up, just because it's not the path that is. I feel like if I can't make it work within one, there's no way I can make it work within 2 or 3 or 4 different client acquisition systems, right? Like, because my time is limited, especially because I have a full-time job, plus I have friends, family, and I'm taking care of my health too. Like in the mornings, I work out, so I don't really work in the mornings before work. So really, all I have is like after work and then the weekends. Sometimes I work through the late night as well, but my time is limited, and I feel like I need to kind of narrow down client acquisition, because I do feel like that's the first kind of hump that you have to get over. The first real hump, anyways, in business, or any entrepreneurship venture or content creation. Like I said, getting your first brand deal, getting your first sponsor for your show or for your TikTok or for your Instagram, whatever it is. Getting that first check is the first, in my eyes, in my perspective, that is the first hump that you have to get through to kind of get to the next, or to kind of just have like a healthy career in whatever you're in. So I've yapped long enough. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of like talk about that real quick because that is the thing that you have to endure. That is the thing that you kind of have to think about in terms of longevity, in terms of like the different phases in your business. It's definitely that it's hard because when I first got the first time I got a client in college, I think I was a junior and I was working at Olive Garden, and this guy just kind of found out that I was trying to do social media, and I kind of had some past wins with the school and like my past jobs, so kind of just like gave me a retainer, and it was only literally only like 800 a month for me to just post on his Instagram and to post his pictures and stuff like that. But I really wasn't excited about it. I think he was only on for about like 4 or 5 months, and then the next client I had was like $2,000 a month. It was a real estate agent, and and yeah, I mean it just kind of snowballed from there. I mean the highest I've ever gotten my monthly revenue was like 6 to 7K a month on my side gig, and I still didn't feel like it was anything because I obviously had to pay taxes, I had to put some of it back into the business, and then I just never really learned how to manage cash flow because I was obviously just a kid in college and not really knowing what to do from there. And I feel like now again it's the first initial hump that I have to get through, and since I'm going through it again as I'm rebuilding my agency, I just wanted to talk about it because I know what it is, and I know what it feels like to kind of be on the hunt again for your first client. And this is gonna be fun. I mean, this time around, I'm not doing it on my own. I have a business partner that I feel really great about, and we're gonna do a lot of great things, and it's gonna be a fun ride for the next couple years at least, and we'll just go from there. So all right, that's enough yapping. I'm done. I gotta get back to work, and I just wanted to check in with you guys and have an episode come out. And yeah, if you have any questions, follow me on Instagram, DM me, or you're probably watching this on TikTok, you know, or YouTube. Comment down below, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll try to do this every week. And yeah, thanks. Okay, bye.